Hello, and welcome to my podcast, Empowered to Thrive. I'm your host, Corrine Powell. I'm an intuitive guide, and I absolutely love helping people to heal from within so that they can create a life that they love, a life that they enjoy. We weren't meant to just tolerate and get through life. We were meant to thrive and enjoy the life we're living. Of course, we will have seasons and moments that are difficult and challenging. And the beauty of it is that we can be supported in those moments. I am here to be an aid and a guide to support you. And I hope that you will enjoy not only today's episode, but some of the past episodes if you haven't heard them yet. On this podcast, I talk about all things inner wellness. We also sprinkle in some spirituality and parenting, because as a mom to 3 kids, parenting is a big part of my life. I hope that you enjoy the episode and that there's at least one thing you'll pull from it and start to implement into your own life. If you want to follow me in other ways, you can find me on Instagram, Corrine_Change Radically, or on Facebook, Change Radically. Would you do me a favor and share this podcast with your friends if you hear an episode that resonates with you? And would you also go ahead and give me a rating and review my podcast? It would mean so much to me, and I would appreciate it. I hope that you enjoy the episode and that we connect. How do we become intentional about our life? I think it begins with a choice. What is your purpose for living? What are your goals? What is the big picture? If you know where you're going, it's easier to know what to say yes to and what to say no to. That's intentional living. Of course, it's more encompassing than that, but at the beginning, it starts with knowing your why, your purpose, and not in an ambiguous sort of way, not needing to know every step of the journey through life. So let's break it down. Let me share personally a little bit about what I mean. One of my values, one of my goals is to create dynamic family connection in my family, in my home, between me and my husband, between us and our children. I want our kids to have depth and true connection with not just me, but also with my husband. And that isn't easy to just see happen. It takes effort, it takes work, it takes being intentional. It's the reason I spend one-on-one time with my children periodically. That is one way I'm intentional at creating the connection with them. I realized while I was talking with somebody a couple weeks ago that my husband and I purposely choose what we're going to do, and we're willing to drive far distances if it feels like the thing that we're supposed to do and the place we're supposed to be at that time. Whether that means driving 5 hours because there's a special event that's only 2 to 3 hours in length, but I feel like I'm supposed to be there, then I'm going to drive. I'm going to be there for those 2 to 3 hours, and I'm going to feel like it's very worth it. It might be the fact that we choose our pediatrician or the school that our kids are in right now, or the friendships that we have all over. Like, we're willing to drive a far distance to make these things happen, to have the relationships that we see as valuable, as important, as life-giving. And I throw out those examples so that you can start to think through in your own life. Are you living intentionally? Are you willing to look at the big picture? What is valuable to you? What is important to you? And what are you willing to do in order for those things to come to be? I understand that in some ways, what happens in life feels like it's out of our control. And as much as I think there's truth to that, I also believe that there's many things within our control, that there is much we can do in our life to determine how it goes. Whether that is through doing the inner work and shifting our perspective and our belief system, or whether that is simply choosing to drive 30 more minutes so that you can be at a certain place. It's your choice. You determine in many ways how your life will go. Now, as I say that, I also want to assure you that the pressure isn't all on your shoulders. This isn't me trying to make you feel like you have 10 more things you need to do. And if you're drowning in what you're already trying to keep up with, my goal isn't to give you more things to feel like you're drowning from. But truly, there's probably things that you're doing right now, that mindsets that you're carrying, ways that you're living, that may be hindering you from actually living the life that you want to live. Whenever we say yes to something, by default, we're saying no to something else. Whenever we say no to something, by default, we're saying yes to something else. So my challenge for both you and I is that we would be able to evaluate our life. And it might mean grabbing your phone and using your notes app, or grabbing a journal and starting to write down some of the values that you have. What is important to you? And how are you creating a lifestyle that allows those things to truly be valuable? You can say something is valuable, but if it's really valuable to you, you will put your time, your money, and your energy into making that happen. And it will be obvious to everyone around you that that is what you have value for. If you have value for family, you create a lifestyle that makes space and time for connection and depth. If I say, oh, I value family, and I work all the time, I am proving that I do not value family. And one might argue and say, but I do. I want them to have a comfortable lifestyle. I want them to be able to go to college, to have everything that they need, because I am putting in the effort to work. And I would beg to say that is not valuing family. That is valuing money. That is valuing stuff. That is valuing life experiences, opportunities that money can bring. And I even feel like, put money aside, I have seen that without having enough money, you can have amazing experiences and amazing opportunities. And I can't make sense of it all to you, but I have experienced that living intuitively, doing the next thing that you know you're supposed to do, putting your time and your energy on what you say is valuable. The money follows. The money follows. When my husband stopped working full-time a few years ago, went into business for himself and basically worked part-time hours so that he could help homeschool our kids, and that we could do family together, that we could parent together, that it wasn't just me at home all day with the kids and him coming home at almost their bedtime. When we started doing that, it didn't make sense that we were able to keep up with the same lifestyle. It didn't make sense that we were able to do all the things we wanted to do when his income was not what it used to be. But friend, we were able to do all the things that we used to do. We were able to keep up with all the opportunities that were important to us, that we felt were supposed to be happening in our life. I can't make sense of it, not logical sense, But intuitively, I know that when you're doing what you need to do, when you're putting your time, your energy on what is valuable, everything else will come together. And so perhaps this is a message you need to hear. Perhaps you're in a spot where you are contemplating what feels like a big life change to you, a big decision. And I just want to affirm that if it's what you're supposed to do, stepping into it is the best thing you can do. You don't have to have everything figured out before you do that. You don't have to have logical sense to it. Trust your inner knowing. And also, if it doesn't work out, that's okay. You will never know unless you try. And we become better when we walk through experiences and they don't go as we plan. We learn from that. We learn from what people call failures. We succeed by falling down and figuring out how to get back up and how to move forward. It may not be comfortable, but there are so many things in life that aren't comfortable that the satisfaction of following your inner knowing, the satisfaction of putting your time and your energy and your efforts on what you say is valuable cannot be taken from you. That satisfaction is something that money can never buy. It can never provide you with the satisfaction of knowing that you are creating the life that you want to live. You are creating a lifestyle that will carry out a legacy that is rich and that is valuable. So cheers to living intentionally and determining what is valuable to you and starting to put all of your resources into making those things happen. We've come to the end. What did you think about what you heard? I hope that there's something you pull from today's episode and start implementing it into your life. Create the change that you want to see, the change that you hear about. You have the opportunity to transform your life, and I'm ready to link arms with you and to help and guide you to the life that you want to live. If you resonated with what you heard today and it touched you, would you share it with your friends? Would you also go ahead and rate my podcast and write a written review? It would mean so much to me. I hope that we'll connect, whether it's for a session or just to connect because I enjoy meeting new people. You can find me on Instagram, Kareen_Change Radically, or on Facebook, Change Radically. You can also always email me, Kareen@changeradically.com. If you have thoughts, questions, or anything that you just want to talk about, send me an email. I hope that you have a wonderful week. But no matter what your week is like, in the moments that are quiet, maybe it's when you pillow your head at night, or when you're driving in the car or taking a walk, or maybe it's going to be in the midst of the chaos with your children or the craziness of work. I hope that you'll remember how significant you are, that there is meaning and value to your life, and that I, for one, am so glad that you're alive. Catch you again next week.